cartoon commentary is not intended for children. Tom, Keith, and Cory are usually wrong, and anything they say can and probably will offend you. Apologies in advance. Commence the podcast.
Cartoon
commentary.
I'm recording, everybody. It's recording now. I did not pick guests only, which
I appreciate that.
that would be actually a very interesting show. If you guys just talking to Ghost Keith, you know,
Well,
All of a sudden, we just start laughing out of nowhere without any explanation for what just happened.
or you guys just going, ugh.
God damn it, Keith.
Everybody would just be like, what? Who's this Keith guy? What did he say? The mystery of it all.
yeah.
Then we record both, right? And then we only release the one with me talking to like our Patreon subscribers. So everybody else is left in the dark. They just think it's a totally different podcast where two guys talk to their mutual imaginary friend, and then
That's
everybody
like some EA bullshit right there.
what
Keith
putting it
Keith
behind
is,
a paywall.
Keith is DLC.
I literally put
Yes.
my voice behind a paywall.
The cartoon commentary DLC. The Keith package.
No, nobody wants the Keith package.
Well, it wouldn't cost
only good
too
for
much
60
'cause
seconds.
it's small.
I was gonna say when you were talking about like the grading of video games and like how it's done on a visual scale, I was gonna be like, oh, just kind of like penises, right?
Oh, God.
I mean, there's no like, is there a scientific test? No, I'm pretty sure it's just hey, that's a good looking one, and that's a bad looking one.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. That's it. That's how they do it.
I mean, I would suppose that some people may do
We
a
had-
measurement. Maybe a weight,
Oh my
if that's
God.
possible.
How do you... Whoa. No.
I mean, that's hard because unless you disconnect it,
That-
unless
exactly.
You got, one of those,
Hard?
you got one of those detachable ones. That's.
Keith,
I mean, otherwise you
do
just
you
have
a
to.
detachable penis.
I mean, how do you? It's attached to, you. So
That's not
Get a lot more done.
I mean. You just take it off, put it away for a little while, and just be like, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
I'll come back to you when I need to pee.
You know what?
Or
I
spank
agree
it.
with that. I was laughing because I was thinking it was ridiculous, but in this moment, yeah, I get it. I agree.
You do
I'd
realize
be
that
more productive.
that won't be the first cyborg attachment. It'll be like people get cyborg like it'll be actually like mostly probably like strength related, and then it'll be ambidextrous. No, dexterity related. So it'll be like the robotic arms they use for like surgeries now that are like it'll be like that, but like scaled down for people arms and people fingers, and then eventually they'll be like, why not dicks? Why don't we have robot dicks? Why doesn't everybody have a fucking robot dick?
Exactly. I was gonna say, as soon as somebody figures out something else, like an arm or a leg or whatever, there's gonna be the very next thing is someone's gonna say, why not a dick? Why not a vagina? And they're gonna work on that, and it's gonna be the very next thing. But we're all gonna be too ashamed to talk about it. So.
Well, until like enough celebrities get them, and then it's gonna trend, and then everybody's gonna want them.
Yeah, that reminds me of when Jennifer Love Hewitt went on, I forgot which talk show.
Wait, she has a robot dick?
No, she it was Vajazzle, I think. Where remember Bedazzle, where you that product that would put all those stupid like clip things on your jeans and make it look like fancy. Well, I don't know if fancy is the right word, but Tacky. That's it.
Tacky is the right word.
Anyhow, there was this trend. I think it was like in the late. What do you call 2008, 2009, 2007?
The late 10s?
2000s?
The late 2000s, yeah.
Yeah, it's
I don't
kind of
know.
weird. It's tough. We're living in a tough time to describe.
I guess you just have to detail it out.
Yeah. I think she might have been on Conan O'Brien, actually. But I'm sure one of our avid listeners will be like, no, that's wrong. Or they might be going,
Well,
Tom's exactly right.
I would believe that, though, because Conan O'Brien's a pervert. Of course he would
Yeah.
love somebody coming on his show talking about their vajazzles.
Yeah. And the whole premise is and I'm pretty sure our podcast is meant for adults. So if you're children, stop listening now.
No, if you're a kid and you're listening to this shit, you're cool. You're the coolest kid in school.
Okay, fair enough.
Because your parents have no supervision over you, apparently.
You're like
It's
my
okay,
parents.
we'll raise you.
We'll raise you. We're your parents now.
As
I'm
one of
Daddy
our own.
Tom, and that's Mama Keith. Which, by the way, I refer to Mama
Wait,
Keith.
and
Or
then
Keith
is it-
as Mama Keith.
What? Is
When
it
he
like
makes me
Uncle
food.
Cory then? Or is he just
I guess.
Daddy too? I'm just...
Well, no one wants to call me Uncle Tom.
Makes sense.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
because Tom, I mean,
Yeah.
I've been trying to give you gold forever, and you won't take it.
Yeah.
I hope this is relevant.
I don't even remember what we were talking about.
I've been sitting on the edge of my seat waiting for Tom to actually describe what the hell vajazzle is.
Oh,
yeah.
thank you. Yes, so I remember watching this. I was
Wait,
watching on TV.
No, I got it. It's when you rhinestone your vagina.
Yes,
Jesus.
thank you. Well, not
Yeah,
your
it really
vagina,
is?
but your pubic area, your was it
Wait,
your mons?
I
pubis?
was just guessing
Your,
at that. That's actually
your fupa.
That's actually
No,
what it
not
is.
your fupa.
Oh, pretty sure if you,
I'm trying to think of the correct description of the area. But I'm not a female. I'm a male. I have male genitalia, so I'm trying to think of the equivalent for
So
female,
you're-
but I don't have a female body.
so you're
it's-
fuda. I mean,
I wonder if there's the male equivalent of that trend.
there should be. There should be
I'm
the
not going to
equivalent for
Google it.
anyone.
Keith,
It's-
that's you. That's all I
No.
knew.
Hold on. So they like pierce themselves with.
No. It's like a glue. It's basically
So wait,
Oh,
gluing,
hold on.
Hold on. I just came up with an idea. So I'm gonna do the manly version of that.
Oh no.
And I'm going to just put some
Yes.
Elmer's glue. Put some Elmer's glue on my foota. and then I'm gonna go out to my backyard and grab grab a handful of gravel and just
Jesus.
and just rub the gravel in. So there's rocks on that. And that's basically what rhinestoning. It's basically rock. I mean, they use plastic
poor
pieces
wife.
or whatever, but I'm just gonna put rocks there, and I'm just gonna go, hey, you know what? This is manly. This is
You're gonna
this
look
is
like the fucking thing.
It's only for. It's not even the waist down. It's like the waist to the upper thigh. I mean, let's be honest. It's
Smash.
no. You think that's gonna happen if I have that? No, that's a
No.
deterrent. That's more of like a stay away. That's actually a version of male contraceptive. It's, hey, oh baby, look at this, and she's like, it's covered in fucking rocks.
I guess
No.
once you have two kids, you just start to resort to anything, right, Keith?
I'm like, baby, this is what it looks like until I get the vasectomy. I'm sorry. It's-
What's up, Internet? Welcome to Cartoon Commentary, a podcast where three true believers in their 30s talk about old, new, and sometimes weird cartoons. I'm Cory, the Blob Zamir.
I'm Tom. Insert nickname here. O'Connell.
I'm Keith. My house almost blew up today, Barnofsky.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you
mean,
brought it up,
I
and it's
figured-
not penis related. I hope so.
You know, I mean, I could throw a couple in there if you want.
I hope
but,
it is.
No.
I hope it is.
We've met our
Like,
penis
you-
quota, I think.
So, so my heater broke. We have baseboard heat, so it's hot water. It's fueled by natural gas. It broke like 2 weeks ago. Granted, right now, I don't want to date us, but it's in a season that I don't need the heat right now. So you
Summer?
use your imagination.
Oh, sorry. I shouldn't. Spoilers.
God damn it,
It's
Tom.
it's July 22nd.
Oh, geez.
July 22nd
Don't say the
is
don't
when
say
it
the
broke
don't
down.
say the year. We're time travelers.
2021.
Oh God, damn it. Okay.
Right.
So
We're
anyway,
recording this at
and we could literally
9:38 p.m.
we
Coming to you live from Southington, Meriden, and probably Plantsville.
it's
Great.
Unless you're both in Plantsville.
know-
I'm
Now
not
we
sure.
got stalkers that are going to be messing with
the
us.
whole problem is that Cory edits this and he's not going to cut
Yeah,
any of it
it's
out.
trapped.
We are just, and the thing is that I, who download the file, I'm just not going to do anything with. I'm going to send it to Cory and just not edit myself because
That's accurate.
yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
That's gonna
so we had to replace our heater. It costs a butt ton of money because it's a heater that did our hot water and our heat for the whole house. So thousands upon thousands of dollars later. Anyway, the plumber finished it last week, and the basement smelled kind of weird for a little while. Like I have some workout equipment down there that I just wasn't using because I'm a true American.
Smelled like
where
Keith's balls.
I buy workout equipment and then I use them 2 months out of the year. And well, no, just from like all the like sawing of like iron pipes and like the electrical work and like the pipe sealant and like all the
I'm
other
sorry.
stuff. Like it just
Keith,
kind of
I'm sorry.
smelled
What do
chemically.
iron pipes that have been sawed smell like?
It has like a metallic smell.
Oh,
No,
that's such a
seriously, like
cop-out.
there's a lot. I'm sorry. It smells like the
like-
Titanic. I don't
like
know.
if someone cuts American black walnut or not American black walnut, it smells like vinegar, right? I'm sorry, I'm trying to think
I
of
have
my
no
own
idea.
memories.
No, I don't know. I've never
Only you would
done
be able
this
to answer that,
like,
Tom.
Tom,
I'm
this
pretty
sounds
sure
like
it
a
smells
science
like vinegar.
experiment.
I'm mixing it, or am I mixing up with mahogany? No, I'm pretty sure it's black walnut, American black walnut.
Well, regardless, the basement
Yeah,
smelled
sorry.
like a bunch of like industrial stuff, like when they finished the job. So I was, like they did whatever, and it took like 2 weeks, and then he finally did like the last bit of piping at the end and turned the gas line on, and then we had hot water, and that was like last week, and then a couple days ago I went downstairs and I went into the basement. Like I didn't just go downstairs we have a litter box at the bottom of the stairs and I can scoop that, and then there's a doorway to go into the basement, and I went into the basement and I was like, man, it really stinks down here. And like because of all those other smells that were basically like trapped down there because there's not really a lot of ventilation, I was like, it kind of smells like natural gas. And I was like, well, I don't know. Because, like, there was a lot of other smells in the mix. So I was like, all right, well, let me just open. We have a doorway that goes from our basement, like, with a stairway up to the garage. I was like, I'll open up the garage door. I'll open up the back door off the garage. I'll open up the door to the basement that leads up to that. I got actually 2 tower fans and a box fan. So the box fan's sitting on like a platform blowing up the stairs, and the 2 other fans are just circulating air throughout the basement. And I aired it out for a little while. And then I went down there and I went and smelled, and I was like, it smells a little weird, but like whatever. Like it smells a lot better, all this airflow. And then so I turned everything off, I closed everything up, and then I was thinking about it. I was like, let me buy a like gas detector. So like I went on Amazon and searched for it and found one for like $30, little handheld battery powered
not bad at
natural
all.
gas detector. And it came today in the mail. And I was busy working, whatever, and our mail comes around like 3:30, 4 o'clock. So I was just like, oh, it's 4 o'clock. Let me go out to the mail, and it's there. I get it, pop some batteries in it, turn it on when I'm upstairs, walk down into the basement, and it literally goes wild. And as soon as I open the door, I'm like, oh, we're fucked. Like, this is, because at that point, I got rid of all the other smells. So it was like just natural gas.
There is an oxygen deficiency
No,
hazard.
Literally.
Sorry, that ODH training from a national lab. I was just thinking of it.
Literally being down there for like a minute was like, ugh. So, which is the funny thing, because I went down there and I turned the lights on, which apparently is a big fucking no-no. Like,
oh, yeah.
But this is the thing, is I think what saved me is that we have LED lights. They're not like heat lights. They are.
I gotta ask you one question though. Do you have any pilot lights going for like your hot water heater?
No, because luckily we bought an on-demand unit. So the on-demand unit is like a sealed unit.
Oh. Okay.
So that doesn't have any like pilot light that would be exposed
Yeah,
to...
because that's why I was thinking, like, my father has a pilot, his natural gas heating. There's a pilot light, and same thing with the, I know his water heater has a pilot light. I've gone down because there's been times where it's blown out for one reason or another, and we've had to relight it.
Yep.
And, yeah, I was just thinking, like, holy shit, if Keith's basement was filled with natural gas and he had a pilot light going anywhere.
Oh yeah.
I'm surprised he's even alive and able to do this podcast.
Well, this is the crazy part, is that like, so luckily we bought the unit that we did because it has its own ignition, but within the sealed unit, because it has an air intake that grabs fresh air from outside in a sealed PVC pipe and feeds it into the unit for the combustion for the on-demand heat to heat the water. So
makes sense.
Otherwise, there probably would have been... Well, the thing is, there probably would have been an incident that maybe started a fire but was not, like, deadly explosive versus, like, me going down there being like, oh, fuck. And then, of course, I immediately turn all the lights on and run 3 fans. And I'm like... Granted, I need that to move the air around and to see things, but like in hindsight, that was not the smartest thing to do, because if any of those created any sort of spark, I just would have gotten like lit the fuck up.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, the way I'm looking at it is either... So basically tonight we could be recording this podcast, or I would be consoling your grieving mother.
Yes, Tom.
Your beautiful grieving mother.
There you go.
Oh,
Who
God.
I'm pretty sure my father would just be giving you dirty looks. But
worth it though.
Anyway, so once realizing that, I immediately called my plumber. He was apparently getting a haircut. So as soon as his haircut finished, he called me back and he rushed over. And by that time, it aired out enough where it still stank down there.
Yeah.
But it was enough where the gauge that I had was reading loading. I also he put a shutoff valve before it went into the unit, and
I'm surprised there wasn't one already installed.
Well, so there's, on the outside of the house, you have a gas meter. Apparently you could shut it off from there, but there's no like quick lever. Like, I think you have to like take a panel off to do it or something. Because I looked at that and I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here. So I went into the basement and he put a shut off that went to the unit. So I turned that off.
That's good.
And I used luckily the gas detector that I bought has like a calibration dial on it. So what I did was I calibrated it up, because this is what it says in the instructions. If you want to find where the leak is, you're in the open air, you calibrate it up so it's not going off anymore. And then point it at different areas on the pipe and it'll go off again, because it's now a higher concentration to what you've calibrated the baseline to. So I did that, and I found the joint that it was actually leaking from.
Wow.
And
that's
it was
pretty good.
it was after the shutoff valve, so I knew that the shutoff valve would contain it from leaking further. So then I just basically let it essentially, kind of just move up through my garage and out of the house until the plumber came. And then when the plumber came, he was like, oh yeah, and he did the old school method, which I should have done. I should have never even ordered the gas
Was
thing.
it? Was it to put like soapy water or
Yeah.
something? That,
Yep.
Yeah.
He has a
Yeah, I was
spray.
just gonna
He has a
ask you.
spray bottle with soapy
Yeah.
water, and he
Yep.
just came in. I was like, "Yeah, it's this joint," and he goes, "Well, let's see." And he sprays it, and it made a bubble. And he turned the thing back on, and it made a bubble. And he left it on for a few seconds. He sprayed the rest of the joints, and all the rest of them were good.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah," he's like, "You were right." And then he turned it back off, and then he unscrewed it, and he was like, "Oh," he's like. He apologized. He was like, I'm sorry. He goes, he basically didn't put any freaking sealant on the threads
Yeah.
for that one joint.
Then that makes a world of difference.
Yeah, because when you were talking about
yeah.
just iron pipe, like the threads are not like precision made threads. They're just threads. Like you have to put sealer on those. So it was just a slow leak for like a week.
My PhD research involved a lot of cryogenics and a lot of cooling systems. There's a lot of pipes, a lot of sealants, a lot of this stuff. So just from like, I'm not a plumber, but just from you like explaining the situation, I was like thinking of all the things we do in the lab, and I was like, yeah, that. It's funny how much of what I do in the lab relates to just basic plumbing and downstairs and
Yeah,
I don't know.
makes sense.
Yeah, it's
So anyway, if I didn't actually go into my basement and I just scooped the litter box and went back upstairs, I could have been dead in a few days. I don't know.
Exactly,
Like, it's
yeah.
like, because the thing is that smell was not permeating to the first floor yet, but like, I feel like by the time that smell actually got to the first floor, my basement would have been just downright explosive. Like,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
at that point it was leaking for days, and that's bad. Like
That is really bad.
I could have fucking died. Like,
Yeah.
and like I have a daughter, I have a wife that's pregnant. Like
And
that's
a dog.
crazy. Yeah, and a dog and a cat.
Oh, I forgot
mean-
about the cat.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about the dog. So
No, the poop in the litter box just kind of appears.
it just manifests
So
itself.
that's for Keith. They don't have a downstairs bathroom.
I mean,
so-
I hate to say it, but like my pregnant wife and my daughter take a little bit of precedence over the animals. Like I care about the animals. We gave the dog a haircut and a bath today.
I
Like
thought we were talking about the litter box still.
yeah, the litter box takes
About, like,
precedence.
the order of,
Yeah, I thought he was gonna say that they use it too.
they use it too. They need it.
Yeah.
We don't
know,
have a
when-
bathroom in the
When
basement.
all the bathrooms are taken, you just got to do a dookie in the litter box. That's
Exactly.
it's at least
I've been there.
if you cover it up with other litter, it suppresses the smell.
Keith,
And then-
Keith, there's something wrong with our cat.
And then you leave it for somebody to just be like, how did our cat do this? Our cat, cat, come here. Let
Cat
me
has
see your
diarrhea
butthole.
again.
No. No, if it's a solid one, you'd be like, cat, come here. Come here, cat. That butthole cannot do it. What is going on here? This is... We need a scientist in here.
I'm totally gonna
Tom,
shit in the cat box.
Tom.
I don't know Keith sauce.
We need
I'm
the
our
physics.
resident scientist.
that reminds me, there's a... Tracy Morgan does is one of his... a
I
part
love
of
that
one of
guy.
his stand-ups. He's great. He called... What do you call it? Oh, God. I can't remember it. It was like... It was like something in debauchery, like destruction and debauchery or something. It's basically like every time he got drunk, he would just do like ridiculous shit. And like one time he shit in the cat's litter box. And his girlfriend or wife, whoever he was with, called him out on it. And like Oh, it's decadence and debauchery. That's what it is. Decadence and debauchery. Basically, every time he got
Great.
drunk, it was just like a decadence and debauchery. It was just like him treating himself to shit and just doing fucked up shit. And he basically just did a full man dookie in the litter box and then
Wow.
just like left it and just played it off. And he was just like, I don't know, maybe Mittens did it. Mittens just did a huge fucking poop.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So you guys ready? You guys ready for this?
Yeah. I'm ready to talk about the X-Men,
Wait, did
which
Corey
Keith
already
decided
do
we were
the
watching this
intro?
week.
Yeah, so let's. Yeah,
Yeah.
Corey did his
I
intro.
forgot.
Yeah,
We
you were
just-
here for it.
We were just talking about my
I
house
forgot.
blowing up.
I've
So-
been so preoccupied with all the other interesting things we've been talking about.
So
this week,
Keith picked a random X-Men episode from the animated series.
so I picked X-Men, which is currently playing on Disney Plus because Disney owns the rights to everything, including our souls. X-Men
True.
season
Accurate.
1, episode 4, Deadly Reunions, and
So the thing with picking a random episode is, unlike a lot of cartoons, the X-Men series has a lot of like continuing plot lines. Luckily for us, I am an X-Men expert, so I'll catch us up real quick. If anybody wants to time this, let's see how quick I could do it. Let's see if we can get it under 2 minutes. Because I'm going to be covering real quick the first 3 episodes of the series to catch us up to where we are in Deadly Reunions.
Please do. That sounds great.
so real quick though,
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to see
Real
the
quick.
reason why I picked this episode
Oh,
was
title.
because it wasn't the title. The title's Deadly Reunions, right? Which is interesting, but the synopsis on Disney Plus was Magneto destroys a chemical plant in order to attract Professor X. And as I mentioned to you guys, I just thought that was such aggressive foreplay. Magneto was just like, oh man, how am I going to attract this other dude? I'm just going to
I
blow up a
need him.
chemical plant.
I want him.
I want him. He needs to pay attention to me. So
He missed them.
that was it. Got like I was looking at the first couple episodes. As soon as I hit that synopsis, I was like, "This is the one. I have to watch this one because it has pulled me in." So anyway, Corey,
good for you, Keith.
So the thing with this is I had the Night of the Sentinels VHS tape back in the day, so the first 2 episodes back of my hand. It starts off with Jubilation Lee is a newly found mutant, and her parents are not ready to deal with having a mutant in the family, so they end up turning her in to the mutant registration, which is basically the government. She runs away to the mall, as you do, and
Of course.
the Sentinels from the mutant registration end up following her there. But luckily for her, the X-Men are just, shopping in the mall. So the Sentinels, which are big, gigantic robots, which are awesome, start busting up the mall. The X-Men save her. They bring her back to the X-Mansion. We get a little bit of introduction on pretty much every character. Wolverine, Beast, Morph. I don't know if she really talks to Jean Grey, Storm, Rogue, Wolverine, Cyclops, everybody. She then goes back to check on her foster parents, and she gets captured by a Sentinel. The X-Men discover that the mutant registration program intends to track and eliminate mutants, so they decide to go to the building in which I guess all the information is stored, because this is the early 90s, and apparently on computers all the information just resides in a computer that's not connected to anything else. I don't know.
Checks out.
Yeah, so then into episode 2 is basically a break into this facility, and you get a whole bunch of the X-Men using their powers in every which way. But after they break in and destroy the computers, like literally just like burning files and breaking computers, while they're escaping, they are attacked by a literal F-ton of Sentinels. And Morph is killed, question mark. Dun dun dun. And Beast is captured and imprisoned by the government. You get a whole bunch of fighting between Cyclops and Wolverine, as you will throughout the entire series. A lot of memes are from these few first episodes, like Wolverine looking longingly at a photo, which I'm pretty sure you guys have seen at some point.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm pretty sure that's from like episode 2. And the X-Men managed to track down the Sentinel by injuring it, and it basically leads them back to their Sentinel workshop, where they're holding Jubilee, and I think Beast is there also. Maybe he's not. And they rescue her, and she decides to join the X-Men. So the third episode, I now realize that doing it in 2 minutes was fucking impossible, is Enter Magneto. And it starts off with Magneto attempting to break Beast out of prison, because Magneto is trying to be basically the messiah, the leader, the savior for all mutants. He hates Homo sapiens. He's all about Homo superior. But Beast would rather stand trial because he believes in the justice system and that he wants to be the example and do things the right way. So he doesn't let himself be broken out. At the trial, it basically shows the beginning of what this is. Pretty much the entire series is basically regular humans are pieces of shit, and racist assholes. And even the judge is against Beast. He makes a good point and just gets ignored, and because of the attempted escape, even though he didn't attempt to escape, he is deemed too dangerous to be let out on bail. At the end of that hearing, Sabretooth, Wolverine's long-time nemesis, starts fucking shit up and gets injured by people shooting him with lasers, because of course there are no bullets in a cartoon. And they bring him back to the X-Mansion, which doesn't sit well with Wolverine because, I mean, it's Wolverine and Sabretooth. If you know anything about comics, you should know this. It's not a good pairing. And later, Magneto attacks a missile facility. Wolverine, Cyclops, and Storm go to stop him. They get their asses kicked, but they're able to basically stop a nuclear war. They don't say it's nuclear missiles, but I'm pretty sure the way they react to it, it probably is. And that leads us into this episode.
So, yeah.
Because this episode starts off with Sabretooth in the X-Mansion, unexplained unless you watched before.
Yeah. Well,
And they're constantly talking about Magneto's previous attacks.
when you play the episode, they do give a recap, which is
Yeah.
definitely under 2 minutes, but definitely does not explain as much as what you just explained. Where it's just like, oh, this, missiles. Magneto almost kills them, doesn't kill them. Here you go. That's the episode.
I did not see the recap, so thank you, Cory, because now a lot of things make a lot more sense.
So, number one, the intro music. I don't know about you guys, but like, I haven't watched this show since I watched this show. Like, originally. Oh, that intro music. I'm going to use some terminology here that I don't normally use. That intro music is straight fire. That's like, I got literally hyped I
He's
got
trying to act
hyped.
like he's 10 years younger than he
Yeah, I'm
really
trying to
is.
act like I was gonna say millennial, but we technically, I think, age
Don't
wise,
call us that. We are Generation Y.
What?
like why do we exist?
Yep. That's what I was told in elementary
Okay.
school, and then they were like, "Oh,
I think
millennial." Like,
technically millennials, I think, go all the way back to 1983.
no, no. When my cousin was born in 2000, she had a cap on her head that said millennial.
Oh no, she's not a millennial. I think if you're born after 2000, I think you are technically like a Generation Z or something.
Which is why I'm going to call foul. Because we were Generation Y before the millennial term, and then they were millennial babies before the millennial term, and then all of a sudden we were called millennials, and it's like, what the hell? You
Well,
already used
because
millennial
nobody
from-
agreed upon the rules of this thing. It's all the media. The media is trying to bucket us in ages based on our ideals. And guess what, media? We don't all got the same ideals. Go fuck yourself.
Way to go, Keith.
my
Alienate
ideals-
the media listeners.
Yeah. Oh yes. Those people that love CNBC, CNN, and Fox News. Oh man.
Yeah, all our listeners, our correspondents who like to listen to
all
us.
of those news agencies that are literally going to go out of business if they keep on pushing propaganda. So anyway,
True.
the intro, straight fire. It's awesome.
excellent.
It literally hyped me up to be so excited about the episode.
Almost as good as the Pokemon intro.
That's true. The Pokemon is almost like 80s montage feel. It's like
That is like cream of the crop,
The cream of the crop.
top
Yeah.
tier.
Yeah, this show was
X-Men
like-
is almost there. but,
X-Men was
yeah.
like
It's great. It is great. But
X-Men wasn't montage though. It was just hype. It was like it's like duh 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 duh. It's like it's just getting you like ramped up. It's not, it's not Eye of the Tiger by any means.
Whoa.
But just saying.
Better than Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm just saying the montage. You're not just you're getting hyped up, and you're seeing a lot of progress. That's the whole montage feels like. X-Men is just giving you the hype up because the progress is the episode. So anyway, Professor X, he's inside Sabretooth's mind. There's no other way to put it. That's basically how this opens up.
Yeah, it's just a weird scene.
It's really,
It is.
it's strange. He's basically trying to help him. He keeps
okay,
on.
wait. You say help,
Wait,
but like I instantly
Let
thought,
me-
is he trying to mind R him?
well,
I'm not using.
let me-
I'm not saying the R
Let me
word,
explain.
but it feels like he's trying to R him
Well, let me
with his
explain it. Let me explain it, and then we'll discuss it. So he's basically he has become one with Sabretooth in his mind. They are
Yeah.
habitating the
without consent.
same incorporeal form. Yeah, that's true. And he's trying to be like, look, let's look at all the things that fucked you up in your past, which is really
That's what I want.
which is
and
really
that's
awful.
not what you
Well,
want.
not only that, but like, do you want to? So even if you have a lot of mental trauma, I understand that it could be a way of dealing with that could be confronting it in your own mind, but at the same time, he's forcing Sabretooth to be one with him and then forcibly confront everything bad that has happened to him in his mind.
Yeah, he mind R'd him.
Yeah, he did. It's
Yeah.
This is not Professor X's best episode. I'm just gonna
No, I
lay
was
that
like,
out right here.
I legitimately was like, what the fuck? That's not cool. There's
and-
no consent there.
and
This
honestly-
is messed up.
Not only that, but it was in a style where like he was doing it like the Ghost of Christmas Past.
Yeah, like they meshed together, so it was like a mixture
Yeah.
of Sabretooth, like basically his what are they, mutton chops?
Yes. Yep.
On a guy in a lab coat
Yeah, On
running
Professor-
around.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
Professor
like
X
me
usually
with
doesn't run
mutton
around.
chops.
Well, yeah, but in his mind he can.
True.
Like he doesn't cripple himself in his mind.
where he doesn't need consent.
I mean, god damn.
And Sabretooth ends up running away and busts through a wall, which makes sense if you think about the context of that scene with why Sabretooth is actually there.
Yeah. So yeah, he gets away. He slips through a wall. Well, he doesn't even bust through a wall. He because it's in his mind. So he just like floats. He separates from Professor X, floats through
Yeah,
a wall,
and blocks him.
escapes, and then locks himself in a big brick cube. Where I thought it was really concerning to Tom's comment that Professor X he's basically circling this cube, going, "Don't resist me. I will know
Yes.
it all in time." And it's like, ugh. The wording on that was just.
That's why I thought of that, and I would like to point out, Professor X is going on and on about Sabretooth, like, oh, you're a mutant, and people didn't like you, they ostracized you. And it's like, listen, this man is a jacked, blonde-haired, blue-eyed Aryan race kind of guy. Who the hell is ostracizing him? If anything, he should be talking shit to other people because he looks like the Nazis' perfect man. I'm like, what the hell?
Well-
They're trying to say people are giving him shit. I'm like, he's fully jacked. Okay. Besides the fact that he's got some large cane incisor teeth, whatever they're called. I mean, other than that, and some really long hair, he's not weird looking. He looks like he's a bodybuilder.
Have you seen how he dresses?
Have you seen how the humans of this world react to anybody who's slightly different than them?
All right, fair enough. I'm
Like
I'm
the
looking
racism.
At it from
If you
my
think
lens, not
if you
not
think the
from
real
theirs.
world is racist, the world of the X-Men animated series is dialed up like 10 degrees. on
Yeah, I
that.
forgot
It's
about-
crazy.
I honestly forgot about that till the end of the episode, which I won't. We won't jump to, but there's like as soon as a certain somebody's talking about political things and what he's gonna do to the mutants, it's like holy crap, they're so racist.
Yeah.
It's even worse than us. So anyhow,
No,
us,
it's worse.
I-
It's worse than you. Fuck you, Tom.
Jesus, Tom.
by us, I don't mean us as in Cory, Keith, and I. I mean us as in like
As in the royal, the
2000
royal,
royal-
eye.
yeah.
royal we.
No, the royal
Ma'am.
eye, Tom.
Yes. I mean,
Uh,
2021, how fucked up the world is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking like you think things are bad now. Go to the X-Man world. Like Cory said, it's even worse. It's tenfold
Yeah.
worse. But our world's pretty fucked up too. It's very, yeah. But anyhow,
So anyway, next scene, Professor X basically explains Magneto's rationale behind all his violence to, like, you know, Cyclops and Storm and the crew, and basically that Magneto thinks that mutants are superior because they are humans that have evolved versus normal humans basically haven't evolved. So he goes on the logic of kill all humans. And Professor X kind of hit a roadblock, he thinks, with Sabretooth's mind fucking. For,
Yep.
you know.
For lack of a better term.
non-consensual.
Yeah, so he's like, so Wolverine, I need you to help because you have a lot of rage issues too. So I need you for this.
You're a former victim. I need you to help me.
Well, and Wolverine, I don't know if Professor X, he doesn't hint at Wolverine knowing Sabretooth. He probably knows it, though, because he's been in Wolverine's head. And he's like, I need your help with this. And Wolverine goes, nope. As long as
Well,
he's...
they know from the last episode, because Wolverine was not happy to see Sabretooth at all and kind of had a,
Yeah.
bitch fit about it.
Yeah, so as soon as Professor S asked that, Wolverine says, as long as he's here, I'm going to be somewhere else. Which is like
Yep.
the first good Wolverine, like Wolverine style quote. It's like, it's Wolverine he's a
Well, no, there was definitely a quote. I don't remember what the context was. I think it was like in this very scene where Professor X was just like, "I need to penetrate the
Oh,
recesses of his mind,"
I have it
and
written down.
Wolverine's
I have it written down. I've been anally I've been anally probing his mind, helping him alleviate the rages. You could remove anally from the
yeah.
quote I
I was
just
gonna say, what
said,
the fuck?
but everything else is word for word. I have been anally probing his mind, helping him alleviate the rages. Still, somehow, some regions are. I can't read it. Some of his regions. Oh, here we go. Still, some regions of his mind I have failed to penetrate. It was very sexually charged.
Yeah, and then Wolverine's like, "I'll penetrate his recesses."
Ouch.
but with the claws though, the
Yeah,
claws,
yeah.
it's a thing. So anyway, so we flip to Magneto. He's looking to basically, he's looking for a place to attack where Professor Xavier will see him attacking it and like come there.
Because he wants to attract them.
Yes, he wants to
Yes.
attract him sexually. He's like, look at how good I am. Look at how good I am at attacking things.
So it's kind of weird because, as someone who knows X-Men pretty well, it's weird to go back to these early episodes and see Professor X have to explain to his X-Men who Magneto is. It's just like, oh,
Yeah.
your most well-known villain, one of your most powerful regular villains, and I need to explain. Like, I feel like if I'm Cyclops and I'm, been trained by you, Professor X, for X amount of years, and I lead your team, and you haven't told me who the fuck Magneto is, we have a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Wolverine especially, like, oh, this guy could rip me apart? There's literally nothing I can do? Why are you sending me then?
Which is funny because in the beginning of so we'll get into this, but like Wolverine obviously doesn't go, but not from Professor X's decision.
Yeah.
So
Well, the thing is, they sent him to help fight him in the last episode, which was ridiculous.
yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, to be honest, maybe nobody knew that adamantium was magnetic or ferrous, right? It's a
Yes.
ferrous
Yep.
metal.
Checks out.
I mean, they should have done their fucking research, though, right? Am I wrong?
Right.
I mean, well,
Well-
let's not spoil it, but like honestly, Magneto is really fucking powerful. Like,
Yeah.
if he wanted to literally tear Wolverine apart, he could do it. He could just snap his fingers
he does
like
in the
Thanos.
in the comics. He does. He just rips all of his adamantium out of his body.
Oh God.
Magneto is literally probably the most underrated villain by all stretches of the imagination. Have you
Wait,
guys ever
but-
seen that little animation? It's like in kind of like a 16-bit art from an arcade machine, where it basically shows why Magneto doesn't work in the current MCU,
No.
No.
because he would just clown every single person. Like Tony Stark flies up, oh, he's crushed into a ball. Bye, he's dead.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
Captain America throws a metal shield at him. Nope, never mind. Thor comes in with Mjolnir, and oh, that's metal.
Yep.
Doesn't matter.
Well,
Just a whole
this
bunch of
is-
that stuff.
Let's be honest.
This
There was that one movie where like Magneto was trapped in a cell, and he literally focused his power enough to pull the iron out of the guard's blood
Yes.
and then shoot it back and forth to basically do like death by 1,000 knives to him, and then
Yeah.
escape.
Like
Well-
Magneto is an Omega level mutant. He's
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
insane.
Well,
And-
he's
and
Jean
I-
Grey. Like,
I'd like to point something out, and in this episode, Magneto actually points it out a little later in the episode, but I'm just going to bring it up now. He mentions how, you know, his magnetic force is related to electric force. And as a physicist, I'll just tell you right now, yeah, if Magneto controls magnetism, he also controls electricity because they're directly related. So
Yeah.
like he can, using his magnetic abilities, he can control electricity and literally generate, electric fields and shoot electricity at people. I kept thinking,
Yeah,
like,
it's
why isn't he doing this? It's just like Maxwell's equations. I'm just thinking, like, physics wise, he literally, if he does, if he has magnetic force control, he controls like half of the natural forces in the universe. Then, so
yeah, like
anyhow,
he is
he's
ridiculous in that regard.
he's yeah, unbelievably powerful.
One thing I don't like that they do with him, I feel like in the comics, I've never seen him just use his magnetism to be like, here's a generalized blast to knock you
Yeah,
down.
that
Like I feel
happened.
like
Yeah.
they kind of simplified him for the kids
Mm-hmm.
here, just because just like, oh, well, he shot something at them, so they fell. That makes
I
sense,
like
right?
I understood it and I understood the physics behind it, and I totally thought of what you just said. I'm like, but as a kid, I remember thinking, what the fuck? He does magnetism. How did he just blast a hole in the wall with electricity?
Like
So,
even his action figure back in the day was a little weird.
yeah.
Uh, for why would the Master of Magnetism come with an Uzi?
Well,
Yes.
that's
Did
true.
anybody ever wonder
You're right.
why?
They should have. He should have just came with the
God,
bullets,
yeah.
because he could just magnet the bullets into his enemies instead of using the gun. I mean, it'd be much more
Exactly.
efficient, right?
But he
Yeah,
could
and actually,
propel
he
them
doesn't.
like a rail gun.
He doesn't even need the backside of the bullets. He could have just gotten a bag of ball bearings and
Yeah.
Yeah.
just fired those at people. You could have saved. I mean, an Uzi. I have no idea what guns cost, but an Uzi, I'd guess, is like a $500 to $1,000 gun. He could have just bought $20 of ball
Keith, you
bearings.
obviously don't know how much illegal guns
I
cost.
don't. Hey, I have no idea. But guess what? Ball bearings way cheaper. Just saying.
Well, that's the thing is like with his power being so wide open, like you never need to bring anything with you.
Yeah.
Like your weapons
Also,
are always going to be everywhere around you. Like your surrounding is your weapon.
Well, not only that, but like going back to like, granted, this was in like a movie. I want to say a more recent movie, but it was probably honestly like 10 years ago. But like when he pulled the iron out of the blood of that guard, if he can do that, then technically he could just continue to control that iron, find the next
Yeah.
person, get their iron, and
Pull
continue
their
to just
iron.
get more iron.
Yes.
Every person he kills, he just gets all of the iron out of their blood. And really, the only thing that's going to stop him is an army of anemic people that have a lack of iron in their blood.
a bunch of my Aunt Marys are gonna beat up him.
There you go.
My Aunt Mary
It's-
is the nemesis.
It's a
to
bunch of
Magneto.
people that don't eat dark greens and red meat. A bunch of vegans that only it's fruitarians. A bunch of fruitarians are gonna.
I'm gonna have to tell my Aunt Mary she's a badass superhero now, and she's gonna have to beat the shit out of Ian McClellan.
All right, so where were we in this episode?
So anyway, Professor
I don't
X,
know.
he basically Magneto attacks. So this is Magneto's logic. I really appreciate this. So he's like, "Oh, where's Professor X going to see this? It needs to be populated by Homo sapiens." Okay, most of the planet got it. So he attacks a chemical plant because, by his logic, apparently chemicals make human life possible. He literally goes, "Oh yeah, all those chemicals making human life possible. I'm just gonna attack
Pretty
that."
much does. I forgot about
Like-
that.
Okay, so Professor X surprisingly gets an alert because they apparently were just monitoring that chemical plant because Professor X is very concerned about human life, and without that chemical plant, human life definitely gonna suffer with all them chemicals. So he sends Rogue, Storm, and Cyclops to go fight, and Jubilee actually has to hang back.
Babysit.
And take care of Sabretooth.
Yeah,
Yep.
take care of Sabretooth. Basically, sit there and watch TV while Sabretooth is just shackled. So they get there, obviously, like instantly because it's a cartoon.
Should we point out the voices real quick? Like Rogue almost sounds like she's voiced by Reba McEntire. She's got that southern kind of twang as she talks. And I remember as a child, I don't
Hey,
know, it always
sugar.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was always like, I don't know if that. I don't know. There's something about it that always
Well,
made
she's
me like
she's
feel
from I
weird.
think Louisiana, right?
Yeah,
Or-
somewhere around
Well,
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
which makes sense why they picked Anna Paquin to play her in the movies because she played the Louisiana not vampire. She played Sookie Stackhouse
Sookie.
from True Blood.
Yeah.
And
Didn't
that
tried
it
was
work
watching
the
that show.
opposite way?
Bontons. Sorry.
Well, I mean, she played Sookie after the X-Men movies.
Yes, I'm sorry,
Oh,
but I was
yeah.
just thinking like it makes.
No,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
no. We established we were time travelers, so
Yes.
no. She played Sookie first, and then she traveled back in time with us and played Rogue. So,
Okay.
Now I want to watch
Checks
True
out.
Blood.
which honestly, that accent makes me really regret not picking an episode with Gambit.
Oh,
Well, it's weird. It's
Gambit,
weird that he's
yeah.
not here because he was in the first 2 episodes.
Louisiana.
So they just like
accent.
randomly don't use some characters.
Yeah,
Nolans.
and
Like,
let's
for
be honest,
instance, Rogue just wasn't around in the last episode. Because else, why wasn't she helping them fight Magneto?
Were
Like,
they
she
just-
just wasn't there.
were they just saving on voice acting? Were they like, okay, well,
think
we can
so.
only
And
pay
animating.
for we can only pay for 4
Well,
people to
yeah.
voice act. Let's pick.
They only had
They-
so much stuff for people to do, so...
Yeah, I get it.
Well, they had to look at how sexy the voice of Charles Xavier and Magneto are. Like I was listening to him, like, damn, those are some rich, robust voice actors. I'm like, the animation quality does not match the quality of the voice acting. I was like legitimately feeling like they needed to up their game because there is some really good voice acting in this episode, just with the accents and the richness to it. But well, that's just my humble
thing is-
opinion.
As far as I can tell, well, I only did like a cursory glance through the Wikipedias of all the voice actors that they had on the page. And the only one I found that actually did anything I even recognized was the voice actor or actress for Jubilee. Everybody else, it seems like they didn't really do much other than X-Men.
What did Jubilee do? Do you remember?
She was the voice of Claire Redfield in the Resident Evil games.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Allison Court.
Which is funny because I feel
her
like as
name.
far as X-Men go, Jubilee was like the least pronounced.
Yeah,
the
she
show.
wasn't even in the movies.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like in the first like couple episodes, like you're kind of seeing things from her perspective. So like she's
Yeah.
kind of the main
Yeah.
character through the first couple episodes.
You know what's funny? As you described the first few episodes, and I haven't watched them since the 90s, I was like, holy crap, I was picturing them, and I remembered them all. I remembered the those large robot things that would attack them. I remembered all that as you were describing that, and I was like, wow. But yeah, other than that, I don't see how Jubilee, she's really not that great. Sorry.
Yeah, she's kind of a limited X-Men. Like
Yeah.
even if she
They used
wasn't
her
new,
to-
she wouldn't be that impressive. She's kind of like
She introduced.
There's
the
a better
series,
version
and
of
it's
her.
like, really?
well, like so. Here's the thing. Have either of you ever seen Pride of the X-Men?
No.
Nah.
All right, so before X-Men the Animated Series, there was a single pilot episode of a different X-Men series that came out pretty much right before this in 1989 called X-Men Pride of the X-Men. And it kind of had a similar theme where you're introducing a new character to the team, in this case, Kitty Pryde, eventually Shadowcat, who can walk through walls and phase through things. So it was her instead of Jubilee. But on the team, they had Dazzler, who has a very similar power, but is actually competent. Like, she's able to use light as a weapon, basically. And
What exactly is Jubilee's powers? She shoots fireworks from her fingers?
basically, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Small explosions.
It's kind of like a force push. It's like a really weak force
I
push.
shoot bottle rockets from my
Like,
fingers.
her
Bam!
literal ability is to generate firework-like explosions.
Yeah,
Like those little whistlers.
but it's not like a firework. It's a fountain. Like, you ever buy one of those fountain fireworks that just shoots like
Yeah.
sparks?
Those
She
sad
shoots sparks.
fountains.
Like, her sparks have a little bit of force to them, but that's
I guess the
that's
only
basically
thing
it.
worse is if she, instead of Jubilee, she was called Snake, and she was just one of those pathetic snake fireworks that just spit out the ash
oh
slowly.
no, oh no. She charges onto the scene and then she goes, "Watch this," and one of those like just grows out of her finger and just plops
Yep.
onto the floor, and then she's like, "Well, I'm spent."
It's like, why are you even here?
She could be a good distraction, I guess, until she gets like
That's
just
true.
straight up murdered.
Like, if I
Anyway,
was a villain, I
So-
would not know how to handle that. I'd just be like, what the fuck?
yeah, then you just kill her. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Okay, sorry.
So
so
here's a little bit of a spoiler for you. Next week it's my pick, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna be watching X-Men Pride of the X-Men.
all right, let's do it.
Yep.
I don't know where to watch that on, but we'll figure it out.
All right. Hopefully, I don't have to cut this out because I haven't checked to see how we can watch it. I'm assuming it's on YouTube somewhere.
We will find
It's
a way.
totally legal.
I'll have to dig out my old
Yeah.
VHS tapes.
We will find a totally legal way to watch that. Definitely not a Fire Stick that's been jailbroken
Wink,
or
wink.
something.
Because we're not those kind of people.
No.
We're good people.
No.
We don't do that shit.
So anyway-
we advise our viewers not to do that.
We're gonna go back to the show here where Professor X sends Rogue, Storm, and Cyclops to go fight Magneto because it went so well the first time in the previous episode.
Yeah.
So Magneto straight up kicks their asses.
As he does.
Like, Storm has a weird flashback as a wall almost falls on her.
I laughed at that.
It
And
was-
I felt bad.
It was kind of out of place. It was just one of those things where, like, you could tell they're
Yeah.
trying to develop.
They're trying
like,
to do a
her
little bit of character.
Yeah, they're
It
trying to do
felt
character
too
development.
forced.
But the problem is that, like, we don't know anything about Storm, so, like, all of a sudden she's just
Yeah.
like, oh no, I'm this powerful X-Men that can literally fucking fly, and I can see this wall about to tip onto me, and
And she's
I'm
totally afraid of bricks.
yes. Oh no, my one weakness as an X-Men,
It's
bricks.
So do you know what it actually is?
no,
No.
her
She's
her
claustrophobic.
Is it bricks?
oh, she is claustrophobic.
When bricks fall.
Which
fall on
so
her.
the thing is though is that, like, fly away. If there's a wall about to fall on you, fly away because you can fly.
Dumbass.
Blast it with wind because you have that power. Shoot it with lightning because you have that
Dumbass.
power, or just
Dumbass.
do nothing. So
Dumbass.
Yeah, but that's kind of like telling someone who's depressed to just like feel happy, though. You know, like
Yeah, you
sure she knows what she can
I mean,
do, but actually doing it is a different thing.
Yeah.
would it not work? that's
Worked
yeah.
for me.
I understand. It's insensitive. I have been depressed before. It will not work.
Yeah. As soon as my father told me, stop it, it went away.
Yeah. As soon as he was just like, your back is better, you were just like, oh,
Yeah.
that's great. Let me just do some
Yeah,
cartwheels
stop faking
here.
it, Tom.
Yeah. You didn't break your back. Stop it.
So So anyway, then Professor X shows up and confronts Magneto, and I would say he attacks him with a commercial break because
Yes.
there's, although
Yes.
we watched this on a streaming platform where there were no commercials.
Oh.
It was basically just like, hey, you wanted me here, I'm here. And then it was just like fade to black and then fade
Time
back
out.
in real quick. And when we fade back in, Rogue basically gets out of those bricks with Storm. She basically prevented Storm from getting crushed. She goes to
I
save Cyclops.
I need to ask you a question real quick about Rogue. Because
Sure.
I know Rogue can steal the superpowers of other mutants, but
Mm-hmm.
does she also have the ability to fly and have
Yes.
superhuman strength?
Yes,
Yes, and she
absolutely.
got
Okay.
that by. She was originally a villain.
Huh.
And are you familiar with Ms. Marvel, or Captain
Yes.
Marvel as she's
A
known now?
little bit, yeah. Yeah.
Uh, she used her mutant power to absorb her powers for way longer than she ever used it on anybody else, and it permanently took her powers, is the thing.
Ah, okay. Because
So
in
she
the cart
has the superhuman strength and the flight of Ms. Marvel.
Okay, because like in the cartoon, I remembered that, and I haven't watched an X-Men episode since like the early '90s, like reruns after high school or like freshman year. There was some reruns, um, and I remember it from the early '90s. Did I say the? I'm sorry. I remember watching it as a small kid in the early '90s, but I also remember watching the reruns as a freshman in high school in the early
Yeah.
2000s. Thank you. um, so yeah, and I remember thinking like, wait, she can fly, she has superhuman strength, and she could steal powers. But then in the movie, all she could do is steal powers. I was like, in the movie, she seemed kind of like pathetic, kind
Yeah.
of. But in the show, she was badass. I remember the cartoon. I was like, why the hell is she so freaking badass in the cartoon, but so
Yeah, in the
freaking like
cartoon, she's
wimpy
kind of
in the
she's a little bit
movie?
overpowered because there's so many
Yeah.
instances in which it's just like if you really, really needed to solve a problem, just have her touch the person. And sure, it's not gonna go great for her sometimes, but it's gonna solve your problem.
Yeah.
Well, I figure maybe with all the mind R that Professor X is doing, they needed to steer away from the physical R that would be occurring from Rogue just going and being like, I know you don't give me consent to touch you and steal your powers, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it. So
Mm.
yeah, I imagine that that's sort of a plot issue.
So Magneto kicks the asses of Storm, Rogue, and Cyclops. Storm has that weird flashback. Professor X shows up, basically attacking Magneto with commercial break, and then Rogue saves. Obviously, she like breaks out of the bricks where she covered Storm with the brick wall. She goes
Mm.
over to save Cyclops, who's not breathing, so she has to give him mouth to mouth because why not? It's Rogue. He shouldn't be disappointed at that. And
Makes sense.
and
But it's also like what happened to him that he would just stop breathing?
yeah, he got knocked
Like
around a little bit.
he got like hit with so here's the thing, they're super vague about a lot of things in this cartoon. Like a lot of things. Like for instance, we were talking about this chemical plant before,
Yeah.
and it's just like they never explain like what kind of chemicals these are.
No, all the
What
chemicals.
purpose does
Yeah.
this serve?
All of them.
Yeah, they're just chemicals, but it's because they're explaining these things to kids. So it's just like, oh, all you need to know is it's a chemical plant.
Yeah.
All that green liquid will probably a burn you, b be knock you out if you have to inhale it, and three or whatever. I switched formats. Explode if ignited, and
Yeah.
it's just like that's all you need to
Should
know.
should we include a D where it would turn you into the Joker?
I mean, it checks out. It's just wrong
I mean,
universe.
I just thought we already switched the numbers. I thought it'd be number 4. I mean, I didn't realize we were going to revert back to letters at that point. That's even more confusing, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It's so so anyway, Rogue she gives Cyclops the old, I don't know, what do we want to call it, the breath of the crawdad, for
Which
That's
like,
great, by the way.
so if he's not breathing, and you take into account Rogue's powers, she's both at the same time trying to breathe life into his lungs
well, stealing
and
it.
also stealing
Sucking
life
the
from his body in
energy.
general.
Well, and
Exactly.
the factory of burning chemicals around them with the air is basically toxic. She's just like, let
Yeah,
me
like,
breathe in this
the-
toxic air and then force it with my lungs into your lungs as I steal your life
that-
force.
Not to mention the toxic air that knocked him out in the first place hasn't dispersed. It's still there.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? Guess what? It worked.
Cartoons.
Yeah.
So anyway, so like we cut actually
time out. I gotta ask a question about Rogue.
Okay.
If she's with a normal human who has no mutant powers, does she?
She will kill
suck-
them.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I was gonna say, could she be happy with?
No, that's
someone
part of
without?
So-
part of her backstory.
Yeah, like
So
she will
that's
she will suck the
sad.
life force out of you. If you're a mutant, she gets your powers.
Which
That's
is
sad.
which is funny though, because let's be honest though, like her backstory is, I think that she accidentally sucked the life force out of, like, you know,
Cody.
some kid, right?
Yeah, I
But-
remember his name.
Was that
I
like
don't know,
making
if you
out with
name
him,
Cody,
or was
you
that?
deserve it?
Yeah, it was. She kissed him and he almost died.
I was gonna say, if he was a virgin and he had sex with her, it would have been short enough where she would have pulled away and he might have lived. I'm just saying.
I love the.
Not everybody's done it in
fanfiction
60
Keith
seconds,
writes.
Keith.
No, I'm just saying that, like,
You two pump
if
chump.
she was like a 14-year-old kid, like, this would have been like a 20-second endeavor, and that kid might have survived. But they decided to do a makeout session instead, and he died. So, kids, if you are listening, guess what's safer?
Keith, you're gonna get us kicked off the air. Stop it.
Nope.
Yeah, just kidding. Unless you're having sex with a mutant, and then go for it. This is not advice. This is not financial advice.
Oh, Keith, I laughed so hard my dog just got up and left me.
Oh no! Did he just serve you divorce papers?
Yeah, he was like,
He's
"Shut
like,
the
you know what?
fuck
I've been
up,
holding
Tom."
on to these for a while, but Tom, you're fucked up.
This was the last fucking
He's
straw.
like,
for
he's
the
like,
dog.
I don't like your fucking friends, Tom. You talk to them once a week, and it's too fucking much.
I don't appreciate their humor.
Oh God.
It's inappropriate
so-
at best.
Let's go back to the episode where Professor X and Magneto basically try to they try to hash it out. Like, Professor X shows up and he's like, "You want me here?" And Magneto's like, "Yep." And then like, Professor X is like, "We should save all humans," and Magneto's like, "We should kill all humans." Apparently, we've never had this conversation before, but now we know we can't get along. Even though they've literally hashed that out before and know that exact fact. So anyway, Magneto, being the bully that he is, just knocks Professor X right out of his wheelchair. I mean, it's a flying wheelchair.
His
but it's-
floaty chair.
Yeah. But he just
Yeah.
knocks him out like a schoolyard bully. And then, hey, Bear. And then,
I'm sorry, I didn't mute that in time.
hey, Tom's dog's name is Bear, and sometimes he barks. It's perfectly fine. It's a perfectly natural thing. So,
He didn't appreciate Keith's commentary.
I know. Well, he was mad at Magneto for being a schoolyard bully.
You realize we're gonna have to credit Bear in this episode now.
That's true. We're gonna have to pay him out. Shit, his rates are really high.
Bear's
That means when these ducats start rolling in, we gotta give Tom 2 shares.
Yeah.
Yes!
Nope. Definitely
I
not.
win!
So
To the moon!
So Professor X and Magneto basically they attack each other with their respective powers, which is an interesting thing because at that point, Professor X is out of the chair. I don't know what metal he has on him, and Magneto is just, which is probably why it goes in this direction. Professor X basically makes Magneto relive his past, and
Yeah, he's just like, hey, remember that time?
I get that he goes to
How does he do that, though?
goes-
Because he's got the helmet.
He goes to all like the well.
That's not how helmets work.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because it works like that in the movies doesn't mean it works like that in the cartoons.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just
So-
remember the movies say the helmet
Yeah.
blocks that shit.
Yeah,
I
that's-
thought in the cartoons
that's-
it did the same thing, but I couldn't
the whole
remember.
No,
face
that's
part
the
is
movie.
exposed.
Well, that's the
Okay.
movie coming up with an explanation to not just have their interactions just end.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I was
this
gonna
one.
say,
Yeah.
just kill the guy. Just from a mile away, shoot a piece of metal into his head.
Like
but
they
Done.
they literally pull that helmet thing when they meet the Juggernaut later. because
yes, I
otherwise-
remember that.
The Juggernaut would just be calmed down by Professor X and walk away.
Right. I
So when they're
remember
fighting
that,
the
yes.
Juggernaut, it also gives them an out of, hey, get the helmet off him, and then Professor X can calm him down and make him just go fuck off.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
like
Checks out.
Professor X makes him relive like all these like war scenarios that like feasibly like
Yeah, this
Professor
is-
X actually was in those wars with him. Like they were combat.
No, he doesn't need to be there. But the thing,
No.
the thing is here, I don't understand. Like, I haven't done the research, and like this is another instance of it being kind of like mixed in with the movies. They're super vague in the cartoon, but is he basically just making him remember the Holocaust? Because in the
That's what I
movies,
Kinda
Maybe.
felt
he was
like.
Jewish,
That's really fucked up. If that's
and
the
that's
case,
if
Yeah.
like I understand like this guy's about to kill you, but that's still a fucked up thing to do, to be
Yeah,
like, hey,
that-
remember that time the Nazis came and killed your parents?
well, like
Yeah,
honestly,
imagine mind R-ing someone and then
Yeah.
making them remember when the Nazis killed his entire family. That's fucking atrocious.
so you know what's funny
Professor
is-
X is a horrible human being.
What I thought he was doing, like if I was not looking at the show when he's making him remember stuff, was so much less than that. I was thinking that Professor X was just like, hey, this is all your cringe moments in your life. Relive them. Every bad joke, every time you jerked off to something weird, here you go. Like this is exactly what you like deserve. And that's what I was thinking of, was just like, oh man, he's making him relive like all the things, like every memory that's been like solidified based on the fact of like regret or embarrassment. And I was just like, shit, that would be awful. I would run away too. Like if somebody was just
Yeah.
like, here, I'm going to hammer you with your 35 years of your life of every time you did something that was just super cringy or you regret, I'd just be like, oh, I'm just going to fucking off myself. Like I'm going to get out of this one way
Yeah.
or another. Like that's
Yeah.
Yep.
like I went through that once, not going through it again. Like I get that I can make those mistakes on a one-off, but reliving them on a constant like loop, no thank you. So anyway,
Yeah, like, hey Keith, remember that time you jerked off to cake farts?
that was nope,
In front of us.
nope.
Oh,
I mean, can you still
God.
can you still eat the cake after like part of
it's
it?
not
if
recommended.
it wasn't like in the blast zone. You
Like
just
you have to take into account
go get an ice cream.
particles. And do you, like even if there's some
Oh, it's
underwear
true.
there,
That's
do you
true.
think the underwear collected all those particles that were fired?
No.
No, we can't have this
No.
conversation. Let's move
No.
on.
Let's move on. So, gentlemen, let's get back to the episode.
Yes.
Magneto literally blows a hole in a wall with his magnetic powers, although the wall is probably made out of all
Okay,
things that are not
Keith,
metal.
from a physics perspective, he can do that.
Oh, because he can control lightning. But
Yeah.
but it came out like a Wi-Fi signal. He shot circles at it. It was
Keith,
clearly the magnetic
Keith,
part of power.
Keith, until you spend 13 years in grad school. Oh, God,
You know,
I'm not even
Tom,
going to finish that.
you know
one.
what? If I went to grad school, I'd take my time too. So, but so Rogue somehow, although she absorbed Cyclops' power, and then he passed out, and Storm was passed out, with her eyes closed, she somehow
Yeah.
found both of them, picked them up. She's flying blind and stumbles upon Professor X, who then goes, "Oh, don't worry. He actually asked her, "Are all the people out?" And she has her eyes closed, and she's like, "Yep, my eyes are closed. They're all fucking out."
Yes, that was great.
Yeah, they're all gone. Don't worry about it, Professor. And he goes, "I will be your eyes." And he has to fucking get into her mind to guide her out. He could just be like, follow my voice. Like, follow my voice. There's literally a straight shot. Magneto literally blew a hole in the fucking wall. Like, let's go. And instead he's like, I'm going to give you sight with my telekinetic ability because I need to show off because I failed fighting Magneto.
Telepath.
Because God forbid I say, go 10 feet forward
Yeah.
and turn left.
I mean, I guess distance is hard to judge when you're flying autonomously.
Yeah, makes sense.
So it's just like I don't know. It was one of those things where I was like, Professor, are you really flexing on your fucking powers at this point? That's just kind of weird.
Well, the thing is, it's once again, it's a kids show. You got to explain it to the kids.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
You gotta. I feel like they have them using their powers so often just to be like, hey, this is what their power is.
true. Yeah. So it shows like all the facets of what the power can do.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
it jumps to the next scene, which is a news conference. Senator, they never say his name, is blaming the president
Is
for.
it Senator Keene?
I don't know. Cory, do you know the name? You'd be the only one.
I do not remember the name.
They don't say it. They say senator. They just refer to him as senator. So senators, he's blaming the president for Magneto's attack because the president repealed some sort of bullshit law that, you know, in like this day and age, we know that like most laws are either very detrimental to us or they, if they're meant to be positive, they actually do nothing. So,
Robert Kelly.
there you go. Senator Kelly.
Yeah, that's right.
So he's blaming the president for repealing something that probably didn't fucking matter, and that's why the attack happened. Guess what? Magneto's like class 5, whatever. Probably would have happened. So the senator decides, he announces he's running for president, and he says he's going to relocate every mutant to an internment camp.
Which is
Yeah.
next level fucked up.
Yeah,
That's so fucked.
that's like,
Even as a kid.
And the fact that he gets support for that is a clear example of how fucked up the world is in the X-Men.
well, what's
animated
crazy
yeah.
is that
series.
this
Yep, yep.
cartoon happened in 1992.
Yeah.
And I want to almost applaud this cartoon at this point because they drew some lines here to past events and current events of just straight up oppression. And granted, they did it with like these, mutants and superheroes and like the delineation, like supervillains. There's like a spectrum of people that are on this thing, but like they drew this line of like, hey, there's literally politicians that look at a group of individuals, some of them good, some of them bad, and some of them in between, and go, I'm judging all of you just based on the bad ones, and we're gonna fuck every one of you because of it. And that's literally how politicians work. Like, look at current day. It's been almost 30 years. It's been 29 years since this cartoon came out, and
Oh God, I feel old.
yeah, it's crazy. And guess what? Politicians are still doing the same bullshit. Like,
Yep.
we didn't catch on to it as kids, and I don't want to be political, and I'm not going to say one side or the other side, but like, it's all of them. Like, politicians, they don't care what the problem is. They care about the sensationalism in order to basically just jump on one side or the other side and then just ramp that up in order to get votes. And this is basically just calling out the same thing. It was like this
Yeah.
senator is just like, that president is doing a bad job because of this one literal thing that he did and this one literal instance that happened afterwards. So I'm going to run for president and I'm literally going to oppress an entire group of people because of it. Like,
Yeah.
because of one person doing one thing and another person doing one thing, he's going to literally fuck everyone up.
And it's funny, you're talking about this and you say you didn't want to get political. And as I'm watching that, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to get political when I talk about this stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, I get Magneto. I mean, I wouldn't join him. I wouldn't hurt innocent people. But I understand. It's like, he's just trying to live his fucking life. He's just born the way he is. And all of a sudden, douchebags that are just afraid of somebody who's born different, they decide they want to persecute them. And I remember being as a kid, that resonated with me. I'm like, wow, that's pretty powerful. Even before, like, and I'm talking, this was when was this? 91, 92, this
92.
episode?
Yeah.
92, so what were we, 6? I remember this resonating with me as being a 6-year-old, and then once I went into elementary school, and then middle school, and high school, learning about the Holocaust and all that stuff, and I think to the X-Men movies, the first X-Men movie where they explained the backstory of Magneto, where he was a Holocaust survivor, and it was just like, I just remember X-Men introduced me to the horrors of human society before I even knew about the stuff, like when I learned it in school.
Which-
I mean, I was a little boy learning about these horrors, thinking, wow, people suck. They're awful. They do terrible things. And then all of a sudden I grew up and learned, yeah, that's true.
So the
The
thing is,
cartoon was introducing us to it.
Given that backstory, right, for Magneto having gone through that, to then have a senator going, I'm running for president and I'm going to put you all in camps. Like,
Yeah, that's fucked.
You totally understand Magneto's just
yes.
abhorrence to
Of
normal
course.
people because he's like,
Yeah.
this is this is the person getting votes. You hate us. No, never again. Like, it like that totally makes like his character development and his decisions and his radical decisions totally make sense like in that aspect. And it's just it's crazy. Like I didn't expect, because obviously like we all three of us watched this show back in the day, and we all loved the show back in the day. And rewatching a show I didn't expect it to have, and I don't want to find meaning where there was none. I don't know if they expected to have that. I would like to think that there was that thought there, and I'm like shit. This X-Men was deep. What?
Yeah, really, it is. It really is. Like, I remember it being deep, But just given the current atmosphere, holy crap, is it deep? It's so
Yeah.
much more poignant now. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, in 2021, watching the show, Magneto's not wrong.
no,
Yeah.
no, Magneto's actually probably the good guy. Oh,
Yeah.
I mean,
I get it.
Like,
I
he's a
understand.
little extreme,
he's a
It's
little
but
extreme.
extreme, but it's
Yeah.
self-defense at the same time, because
yeah.
him and his people are being persecuted. So I mean, I understand the fear and the wanting to protect yourself.
Well, that's true because even before that senator, there was a lot of like persecution, witch hunting, whatever that happened prior to that. So I mean, it's just being basically scarred from that and fighting back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, not
So
to mention there's no divide. Like every Homo sapien in the show, every regular human is shown to be against mutants for the most part.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched much of the show in friggin' almost 30 years, or maybe 30 years. But I don't remember. Yeah, exactly what you just pointed out. I can't name a single regular human, unmutated, regular Homo sapien. I can't remember a single one that is totally cool and sides with the X-Men. You're right.
Yeah,
Holy
and
crap.
I think that kind of through line is actually one of the reasons why making the X-Men storylines work in anything other than their own kind of universe is kind of hard for people.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
imagine a world like, just take the MCU. Like, I'm up to date on all the movies. It seems like it might be something that they do eventually where they bring the X-Men in. Now, how are you going to have humans have a racist storyline against mutants when it's just like, well, is he a mutant or is he the Hulk?
Right.
Is he a mutant or is he a super soldier?
Exactly.
Is he
or
a
It's just
mutant
thinking.
or is he Asgardian?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like, is he a mutant or is he an alien?
Yeah, they need to be in their own self-contained universe when they're part of the whole MCU. Yeah, you don't
It
really
gets weird.
understand. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Well, like, or is he a mutant or is he Spider-Man?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, like, Spider-Man doesn't get hit with the same persecution as the mutants
Right.
do.
Well, I feel
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
that's just because the mutants are more widespread and like if you look at Spider-Man, it's like one fucking dude, right? So like
Well, the thing
people
is,
about
how
him.
does the public know he's not a mutant?
Right.
Well, that's true in the realm where there are also mutants, but like
Keith, he
But
shoots webs
then,
out
but
of his
then,
that's
in
ass.
any
He's a
true.
mutant.
case,
So
so
what you're saying is if you combine the two together, there's no
so if
delineation.
you're, yeah, but like, say you're Storm, take Storm for instance. What if she was just like, oh, I got caught up in a weird chemical reaction accident, and now I can control the weather. I'm not a mutant. Who are they to declare that you know?
True.
Like, if there are all these other origins for why you have superpowers in the world, like, that's what really makes the X-Men in general really hard to fit something like the MCU as it is.
I
And
think
it's going to help
really.
with the current plot lines they have because they have like an easy explanation, like, oh, we're from this universe, kind of thing.
Well, there's also the issue, and I know it seemed humorous, but I was just bringing to light the fact that, like, Professor X, without consent, violates people's minds and
Yeah.
messes with them. I'm watching that, and I'm thinking in 2021, I'm like, that doesn't seem appropriate. I understand you want to help him, but you're doing this against his will. You're forcing yourself into his brain and doing stuff, and I'm like, I don't know. And believe me, I'm not. I don't want to say I'm one of these super people that are like you gotta censor every bit of entertainment. I don't mean that at all. I don't think you should censor entertainment. Entertainment is meant to be art. It's meant to be what the artist is presenting, and you should just, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, throw it out. You don't like it, just tell people it's shit. Just ignore it. But I mean, I don't know. With this, I was just like, I don't know, Professor X, like, constantly forcing himself on people like that just seems a little.
Well, the thing
I
with
don't
that
know.
is with his power, like it seems like that because we're also there are other versions of him, like in the movies, in the comics, in other animated series. I think even where he's a lot more like I'm not gonna just do this, like because
Right?
it wouldn't be
Yeah.
right. Like, cause
Yeah.
think about it, he's a very powerful telepath. He could literally
Oh yeah. No, I get that.
convince
Yeah.
all these humans that are racist
To
to just
stop
not be
being.
racist. He could
Exactly.
just do, yeah, he could just be like, here's a switch, flipped. Every single one of you are just okay with mutants now.
So the fact
Um,
that he doesn't do this means he's a really shitty person.
well, that's like the
Beside the
thing is
fact that he
like,
mind ours people.
yeah, I don't know. I don't really like this depiction of Professor X all that
I
much,
know.
but
I loved Professor X till I watched this episode where I'm just like, what the hell is going on here? You know what? If I had watched the previous 3 episodes, okay, I'd probably understand. But I turned it on and I just see Sabretooth being forcibly entered by
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Professor
kind of a
X.
weird first scene.
It was a
It
bad
really
start.
is, because it's like, I'm gonna make you feel better. I'm
Yeah,
gonna force you to confront your
I'm going.
He's like,
problems
let me
I'm gonna
know.
fix you.
without your
I'm gonna
consent.
know whether or not you let me. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's weird.
it really was kind of fucked up.
It is weird. So
And I love Professor X, and I love like oh my god, Captain Picard. Why am I spacing on his name right now?
Jean-Luc Picard.
Patrick Stewart,
Patrick Stewart. Yes,
Sir
thank
Patrick
you.
Stewart.
Sir Patrick Stewart. I love the man, and I love Professor X. But like this episode, I was really kind of cringe watching the first part of it because I was just like, "What the hell is going on? Could you not think of anything better than forcing this guy?" I mean, I
Well,
understand
Tom,
this is
this
your
was
specialty, but there's
1992.
there's therapists. You could get him a traditional psychotherapist who could help him with this. Sure, it'll take a few
No, they
years or
can't
maybe longer,
because
but it
he's
won't be forced.
no, they can't because he's a mutant. And if they brought him to a regular therapist, the regular therapist would be like, "Call the fucking police and put this guy in a
Okay,
camp."
Keith, you say he's a mutant, but I swear, Sabretooth is like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the first scene. He's fucking jacked, blonde hair. Besides the fact that he's got really long hair that kind of grows on his back, it's like, okay, what's wrong
And
with him? Okay, he's got long
he's
teeth.
he's
Go to a
also
dentist.
he's also a never nude because he never takes that leotard off.
Well, okay, he's got bad fashion sense, but which one of us is not guilty of dressing poorly if at one point in their life?
I don't know what you're talking about. I am wearing plaid shorts and a black t-shirt and MeUndies. By the way, MeUndies, please sponsor us. Great underwear. So
I was just like, what the fuck? We have a sponsor already?
Sly, Keith.
we do.
Sly.
Hey, you know what? If I'm wearing them already, let's
Hey,
sponsor.
yeah.
Let's go back to the episode. So, the senator is pretty outlandish. Definitely
is.
from one of those Midwestern or whatever.
Oh, great. Now we
Flyover
just
states.
lost all the Midwestern
Hey,
listeners.
they know who they are, or they don't. Even
That's
better.
even worse, Keith.
No, even better. I'd be like Midwestern. They're like, yeah, we're South.
Sure.
So
I
we-
live in Idaho.
Oh my
No
god,
offense.
those all are Idaho
Definitely
investors.
south.
No offense. I've never met anyone from Idaho. I would love to meet someone from Idaho and to talk to them about what's so special about Idaho
Oh, I thought you were
besides
gonna say
there's a
about-
national lab.
I thought you were going to say about potatoes, but
Oh, no. I'm a little more cultured than that.
yeah, there's a
But
lab.
I'm not beneath
So
making
you want to talk
taking
to
a
one
shot
of
at
the
Idaho.
you want to talk to one of the 12 people that work at that lab, not the rest of the fucking state of Idaho. Thanks, Tom.
The
He's
12
like,
people that definitely are not from Idaho.
Yeah, they
I know,
commute in
right?
from outside of like they live in a hotel and work in that lab.
And half of them aren't even U.S. citizens.
God
yes.
damn it, Tom! Talk to a fucking farmer for once.
All right. I learned a valuable lesson tonight.
No, you
Oh,
didn't.
boy. No, I didn't. I'm not going to remember this.
So anyway, Jubilee was watching Sabretooth. Well, she was watching the news, and Sabretooth was tied up behind her in a chair. And Sabretooth, he's, I don't know, from struggling against his restraints, he's injured his arm. And he's talking to Jubilee, being all nice. And she's like, oh, I could let your arm out so I can fix that. And it's just like, girl, if he's been struggling that hard now to hurt his arm, do you think that he's going to, like, be kosher?
Also,
And
he
we-
looks like what he looks like.
Right.
Like, he
Right?
literally looks like the most dangerous person you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah. As a
Stuck in
lion's
that-
mane.
Yeah.
Well, he's got a mullet. I viewed it as a mullet.
it's-
I just thought he's got a bad haircut,
goes
but
around
other
his
than that,
The back and shoulders. So it's
he's just a big guy with a mullet. He's
more
not
like
a
a
bad man
bullet.
until he was a bad guy. Then it was like, okay, he is clearly a bad guy.
I guess. So anyway, she lets one of his arms go, and she goes to turn around to get stuff to, like, clean it up. And he just grabs her. Like, everybody saw it coming. And he says,
Inappropriate.
yeah, and he goes, which I don't understand why he has to go into this level of detail, but he's like, listen, girl, Magneto sent me here to take over this school, so you're going to help me, or I'm just going to crush you. And it's like, well, I mean, I get the exposition for the viewer's sake, but you could have just done that through, like, actions in the show. They could have shown, like, a 3-second scene beforehand of, like, Magneto being like, get captured and then take over the school. And he'd be like, righto, boss.
Yeah. And it also explains why he just wasn't cooperating with Professor X earlier, because
True.
Yeah.
And then he
would've-
basically
he
said
would
that
have
he
learned
was...
his intentions.
Well, he said that he was basically just pretending the whole time, and it was just like, oh, what a class A actor you are, just convincing the Professor X that you're ready for round 2 of therapy, which is apparently going to involve Wolverine. And guess what happens? Wolverine shows the fuck up at this point. So he's back from his long walk where he was like, if that guy's here, I'm not going to be here. And he comes back and he goes, well, fuck, my walk wasn't long enough. And
I'm glad you brought that up because I remember thinking, what the hell, Wolverine?
well,
What did you expect?
so Wolverine
He was freaking constrained to that chair. He
Wolver-
couldn't move. Did you expect him to be gone?
true. Like somebody just wheeled him out back and left him by the garbage.
Exactly. I'm like, come on, Wolverine. Come on.
Wolverine gives one of the best lines of the
Yeah.
entire episode right here. He goes, because they go to fight, and they go back and forth a couple times, and then Wolverine goes, all right, you egg-sucking piece of gutter trash. You always like pushing people around smaller than you. Well, I'm smaller. Try pushing me. And guess what happens? They collide, and then Sabretooth literally just kicks him across the room. So
Oh, it was great.
it was one of those things where it was like, Wolverine, come on, like I love Wolverine. He is
I
one
do
of my
too.
favorites, and But goddamn, you got a big mouth, boy. Like, just like, how about you just fight and then talk after? Like,
He's also
You
like
imagine-
completely nerfed because it's a cartoon.
that's true.
Yeah, and
Like
I
you
was
can't
gonna
have
say-
him cutting people open.
But could you imagine Hugh Jackman saying that line?
Oh, yeah. So, they fight, and then it cuts to Rogue, Storm, and Cyclops basically, like, getting back to the base. And they're all like, I don't know, just they're like, oh, that was great. Yeah, we're totally fucking fine now, breathing in all of those toxic fumes and getting thrown into brick walls by Magneto. We're just totally fine, sipping on some tea. Wait, we hear a little bit of noise. There must be something catastrophically wrong. So they run. Supposedly, I don't know, just cutscenes, but they basically run to where Wolverine and Sabretooth are fighting. No surprise, Jubilee has done fucking jack shit in this span of time, apparently.
Yeah, she really did not seem important.
Yeah, they come into the room and they basically, Professor X yells at Wolverine because Wolverine's about to just fucking killing blow, like fatality move, like just ice Sabretooth, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, claws through the eyes, whatever. He is reared back for it, and Professor X is just like chastising him. Oh, like, you know, revenge is not the answer.
Control your rage.
Control your rage.
Yeah.
We talked about this, boy. Pretty sure that came out of his mouth. And Sabretooth takes this momentary distraction to just rake Wolverine, like mortally wound him on the back, which it literally looked like a scratch in the cartoon, but apparently was a mortal wound to this regenerative man.
Yeah, like it
I
really
know.
shouldn't have been a big deal, but
That
they
did
made it
not
out
make
to be.
sense.
They made it
Yeah.
out. They made it out to be like his guts were hanging out of his body, but
Yeah.
you know there was like three lines on his
I've
back.
had worse wounds, and I don't even have mutant regenerative abilities.
There you go.
you
So
go.
anyway, that happens, and then Sabretooth lunges. Jubilee does the one fucking thing she did this whole episode, which was to blast him with sparkly powers, and he flew out. He flew out the window, and then once
No,
he
he
was out,
threw through the wall.
he flew through the wall, and then
Yeah.
once he was outside of the building, he was like, "I'm free!" Ha ha ha.
Yeah, F this, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm going back to my mommy, Magneto. They rush Wolverine to the infirmary because apparently 3 scratches is way too much for the regenerative man. And then they deem him to be stable with way too many fucking bandages for 3 scratches on his back.
I know, it was ridiculous.
It's like, oh no, he needs a full fucking body cast for these 3 scratches from that wild animal.
The man who
Like,
could regenerate this
Realistically,
damage
give
in
him
3
15
seconds.
minutes on the floor, he'd be fine.
You're right. That's
Yeah.
true. Like, by the time they bandaged him up, he would have been healed.
Yeah, you know, I was just thinking, there's a later episode, I remember as a kid, where there's like some disease, spoilers alert, some episode later on, he somehow catches a disease, and the bad guy's laughing and all proud of it, and the rest of the X-Men realize, oh, Wolverine caught the disease, he regenerates, he can his body will develop the cure, we'll use his blood to cure everyone else. And it's like, yeah, literally, he doesn't die.
Yeah.
So the fact that they have him wrapped up in all those bandages, and they're like, yeah, he almost died. It's like, oh, shut
Honestly,
up.
I can imagine that Wolverine was just smart enough to just be like, oh, fuck yeah, I get a sweet-ass nap out of this. Yeah, wrap me up in
Yeah.
bandages and leave me,
Yeah.
leave me the fuck alone for the rest of today, please.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, that makes sense.
So after that, episode basically wraps up. Professor X is basically talking to the other X-Men. He's like contemplating that he's just Professor X was basically just a fuck up. He's like, oh man, like I trusted Magneto to turn on all the things that Magneto believes in, and he didn't, and it hurt people. And then he's like, and I trusted Sabretooth, who's literally just a bloodthirsty villain, and I should have never trusted him. So he's just like, man, I just don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And then
Hey,
freaking,
Keith,
yep.
his heart is in the right place.
Oh, it is.
But yeah, reality is people suck and they're not going to do the right thing. But poor Professor X thinks they're going to be
Which-
reformed and always be good.
Which, like, honestly, when you make a decision and the results turn out bad, you question yourself. But it's just kind of funny that he's just like at the end of the episode questioning himself, and then it cuts to Magneto, who's literally staring at the moon, swearing just murder. Like
With that
he's
sexy voice.
he's just staring at the moon, just going, "I'm just gonna fucking kill people," and then the episode ends, and you're just like, "Oh shit!" Like the good guys are like, "Man, are we even doing the right thing?" And the bad guys just like, "Fuck yeah, more people dead."
Yeah.
And you're just like, "God damn, this is a turn."
Yeah, it really was. It was conflicting because, like, I mean, I understand Magneto's desire to survive and want people like him to survive and live, but he's to the extreme where he's like, okay, well, these people are going to persecute me, so they don't deserve to live. And it's like Professor X is trying to say, okay, let's just live and let live. We need to just coincide with each other. So, like, I understand Professor X, but the reality is more like Magneto, where people just suck.
Well, that's the thing is, in a world where you don't see, imagine you don't see how the regular humans are in the series. Magneto seems like an extremist. He's going way too far.
Right.
But then you see
Right.
how fucking horrible they are, and you're just like, nah, you should probably
Yes.
kill a decent amount of them, actually.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
You're just like, you know what? He's kind of. I mean, he's a little extreme, but he's on point.
Okay, you say extreme, but then there's a senator who says, I'm running for president now, and I'm going to put these mutants into concentration camps.
Not just that, but like
Yeah.
basically
He's running on the
anytime
Hitler plan.
anytime they come across
Yeah.
humans in this show, the humans either run away or try to kill them. There's
Yeah,
like
there's
zero in between.
I can't, and I mean, it's been 30 years, but I can't remember a human in the series. And I watched like every episode as a kid, and then rewatched it later on when it was playing after school in high school. But I can't really remember off the top of my head any humans that were just genuinely good people that were like, let's live and let live. You could be a mutant, I could be human. We don't have to hate each other. But yeah, the rest of the series is basically if you're a mutant or you're human, and we gotta not coexist. We have to kill each other. It's messed up.
Well, the thing is, like, even in the cartoon, I don't remember if it's like this. I think it is a little bit like this in the comics, but the X-Men overall are kind of fighting against this inevitability of that horrible future where, like, they are in internment camps.
True.
Like, that's why they have whole storylines where they have mutants like Bishop traveling back through time to change things because it does happen
Yep.
and stuff like that. And, like, the Sentinels
forgot
don't
about
go
that, yeah.
away.
Right.
Like,
right.
in the comics, like, they're a pretty, constant thing. They're a constant threat. And in the show, they pretty much are, too.
Which is
Yeah.
That's funny though, because like honestly, like those camps, like as depicted, like mutants are not inherently bad, right? There's good ones, there's bad ones, whatever, but they're being persecuted all together, and they're getting put into these camps all together. As soon as they get identified, they are rounded up and put into these camps, and it's posed as this like horrible, like this is like the worst case scenario, and this horrible scenario that they're in, But once again, going back to like not politics as far as divisive politics of one party versus the other, but like going just back to like our government's done that repeatedly to people. Like as far back as the history of our government and as recent as a couple years ago and currently. And like, I don't know, this cartoon's been out for 29 fucking years. Yeah. So it's just weird because it's just like we had a president that started, well, we had multiple presidents that put people that came here illegally from Mexico into essentially caged enclosures, and they're still there. I don't know. I don't mean to make this a thing, and it's depressing as all hell, but like it's still fucking happening, and they're not even dangerous mutants. They're just people from another fucking country. Like, it's weird.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, like, if you're a basic human being that thinks and is not crazy, you know shit like that is wrong.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like that's a pretty simple thing to say.
Yeah.
Like, there's just right and wrong, and it's scary how many people can't see things like that. Like, it doesn't have to be a political thing.
Right.
Like, there's no politics between should someone have, someone that has done nothing wrong other than want to live, be free.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
Like, that's not a right or left thing. Like, that's
no
pretty basic. And so I think that wrapped up the episode, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many... I don't even know what to say for this one. How many mind R's out of 10 would you give this episode?
Oh,
Is that I don't understand if 10 is on this scale, is 10 a good rating or a bad rating?
A good rating.
Ouch.
I'll go first. It was my episode. I'm gonna give this. I want to give it a high score because it has nostalgia, but I'm just gonna. Go ahead.
You're basing it on the episode. This is the thing I have to keep reminding myself. Just because I love a series, I can't just give everything.
I know.
Like a pass. Like, there's a lot of low-ish numbers I've given to things I love. And it's because I'm basing it on that very episode. So I would say keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Like me with David the Gnome. I love David the Gnome, but I gave that episode, I believe, a 7. So
7's pretty high still.
That's still high, but I mean, it's David the Gnome. That has a special place in my heart.
I'm gonna give this a 6.5. I think that, I don't know, if I went through and watched it, maybe that would change that upwards or downwards, but I feel like they had a lot going on storyline wise. It was cohesive as far as the episodical construction. The X-Men did all of their powers. They did all of their traits. It was a little hokey. It's from 1992, so like it's not fantastic. I'm not riffing on it for the animation quality, but ultimately I just feel like there was a couple, I don't know. There's just a couple of those hokey things that they're doing that like
Where they have to say the words to explain what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. They're doing exposition when it's like this is not an audio medium. Show. Yeah, it's not an audio medium. You don't need to do exposition. Like show it. Like give us the story. Like that being said, like they attempted by like doing Storm's backstory claustrophobia thing, by her being freaked out by a wall collapsing and having a flashback, but it was like at the same time, like you tried that, and I don't know if episodes 1 through 3 had anything in there for her that
I
explained
don't
it
think so,
further.
but I have a feeling that the next episode might.
Yeah, like
With
and
the way
that's
they lay out this show, I feel like they wouldn't put something like that if they weren't going to explain it in the next episode.
that's true. Like I didn't want to call it random because we're watching a singular episode, but at the same time, if that was the first instance of it, there was not, in my mind, the correct way to present it. So there was a couple weird things like that, but overall, I loved this show as a kid. I would honestly, if I was sitting on the couch late at night and didn't have anything to watch, I would totally just put this show on and just binge it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the first things I did when Disney Plus came out, is I started watching this. I also would give this a 6.5 out of 10. Once again, it's an episode that if you just watch it on its own, there's a lot to be desired. Like you're just left in like a weird place where it starts, and I think there's no way to say that you wouldn't want to see more of it the way it ends. Like I kind of wanted to keep watching it, even though I've literally just watched this season maybe months ago. Very good episode. I think it's kind of weird how they randomly don't have some characters that were in the first couple episodes. Like I don't think they explained why Gambit isn't there.
Yeah.
And in the episode before this, I don't think they explain why Rogue isn't around for some of it. They just randomly pick characters like this is who we're featuring today. No one else show up.
Yeah.
And one thing I do want to mention is it has in addition to having one of the best opening theme songs,
Yeah.
the CG ending where they're like showing like the powers of each mutant in like 3D and stuff like that. I think that's really cool too.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And this show came out when I was 6. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's,
Damn.
I mean, honestly, when I found it on Disney Plus, I was just like, 92? Really?
Yeah, it seems so early.
Yeah, because like I remember watching the show. I mean, granted, we were 6 then. I feel like when I was watching this show, I was like 10, 11,
Yeah, you were
12.
probably on
There
like
was a lot of reruns.
season 5 or so.
Yeah.
Well, there were also like 5 seasons of it.
Yeah, it was long running. Yeah. I probably should say my score. I was originally gonna give it a 6, but after we discussed like how what's going on in the show kind of parallels what's going on in real life, I'm gonna bump it up to a 7. I'm now more into rewatching the entire series than I was before, just because I realize how important those issues are, and like, yeah, it resonates now, and I'm like, holy crap, yeah. I mean, as a kid, I loved the show, and I remember being like, yeah, supporting the mutants, everything, but now it's like, huh, yeah, now I get it, and
The thing is,
Oh, you
it's
still support the mutants just from the other side.
well, yeah. Now before I
Now
used
it's
to
like
support the
Magneto.
X-Men. Now it's Magneto.
Yeah.
Now it's like, yeah, I understand. You want to
The
fucking
Brotherhood of Evil
live.
Mutants.
Yeah, I get it. They're not evil. They just want to live. Well, okay, yeah. The fact that Magneto
Well, they put it
wants
in
to,
the title.
yeah,
so
okay.
so it's like
yeah,
it's like when you
okay.
watch Futurama and like your favorite character becomes Bender and he's like kill all humans and you're like, you know what? Yeah, kill all humans. I got it. Right? That's a thing.
Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think that I don't, like I said, I don't know if that was their purpose, if they stumbled upon it, if there was a hidden agenda there, like, but it's, and I definitely wouldn't have picked up on it as a kid, obviously, because I was just a little dumb kid. But there seems to just be a lot of parallels in the show, and because nowadays there's just because of the internet and everything else, like there's a lot of things that have come to light, and there's a lot of inequality in a lot of different spaces, and man, X-Men's just like they're feeding it through, and they're literally citing like historical references of the same thing happening again, and it's kind of it's kind of interesting, and
Yeah.
it's kind of eye opening that we
Yes.
watched this as a kid, loved this show, and then we're just like, oh fuck, there was messages in here. Was there
Yes.
messages in here? There was
And
messages.
that's exactly why it gets a 7 instead of a 6 from
Yeah.
me.
So hear that, Corey? Tom just had to one up us, just like by a half
Yep.
point.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys. I'm one up in it.
Oh man.
So anyway, good episode overall. I think we've
yeah.
pretty much wrapped it up here.
Yeah. So, like I was saying before, next week, going to be watching X-Men, Pride of the X-Men. I honestly really, really like Pride of the X-Men. I don't know if I could say it's better than this, but we're only given one episode sample size. But I think you guys will be impressed with it.
Is it a cartoon? It's got to be a cartoon.
It's a cartoon. I mean, we're cartoon commentary. Keith.
That's what I was gonna say.
on, Keith.
It's better fucking be a cartoon. Well, there's a lot of X-Men stuff that I've seen that it's not cartoon, so I just wanted
Yeah.
to, you know.
Keith, if we ever switch to just regular movies, we'll switch over to cinema commentary.
That doesn't quite flow as well.
I thought we
It
were
doesn't, but it's still CC.
we were just
In my mind, I thought about this a week ago, and the fact that you guys brought it up, I felt so clever until I said it out loud, and I'm like, that was not clever. Let's move
All
on.
right.
And
Yeah,
Corey, edit this out.
he won't. You know
He won't.
I
but,
won't.
yeah.
I won't. Yeah, we'd like to thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to three guys ramble about cartoons. If you'd like to ramble about our ramblings or what we rambled about, you can join the Cartoon Commentary Podcast group on Facebook. If you have any questions, comments, or corrections for us, you can reach us at cartooncommentary.podcast@gmail.com. And until next time, I've been Cory.
I've been Tom.
And I am supposedly Keith. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Dick.